Wow, what a difference. The Talkbuster Podcast.
And now it's your turn, if you're comfortable, to ask us questions. I've also had people send them on the internet. But I'm going to put this mic right here. Don't be shy, please. And ask us questions.
Can I read your internet ones for you?
Yes.
How do I do that? Give you glasses.
Internet history.
I can see it.
Oh no.
The whole field.
I
don't know.
He's our ringer.
You can ask him when we get there.
That's why he's not here.
You live watch this.
Don't all jump up and oh, there's somebody.
Waiting on you.
The person I've never met before.
Never ever.
Dan hasn't been on the show.
No, definitely not episode 4 or anything like that. It would be weird to just know that number off the top of your head.
Hello, young child who I've never met. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. You know, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Perfect.
So, as someone who also worked in a video store, a competitor of yours, do you guys happen to remember what was the big movie that came out the week you started? For me, it was Big Daddy, Adam Sandler. I'm just kind of curious if you guys remember what was like the big movie the week you guys started. What was the big section of your wall that...
I don't remember the week. I remember not long after it was Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, God.
That was I remember that was a huge one. And I remember thinking, nobody's going to want to see this. It's Shakespeare. Holy shit, was I wrong?
I was there. Yeah, of course I remember to see that.
I remember American Beauty still being a really big thing. American Beauty and the second American Pie
Yeah.
being really huge, like right after I started. And we didn't get that many copies of either of them, which American Beauty, I guess, made sense because it kind of got its Oscar buzz after we got the rental copies in.
Mm-hmm.
But American Pie 2, I think we just get short shipped.
Yeah.
It really seemed weird. We couldn't keep that damn thing on the shelves. In the time of guaranteed new releases. Just coming on a Tuesday, folks.
Yeah.
Coming on a Tuesday, we'll have it all.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, it's Friday, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Do you guys have Transformers 2?
No.
No, but
No.
we have something good. You want to rent Fight Club? That sounds stupid. Anyway, anyone else?
I don't remember when I started what it was. I do remember Stupid People. So I do remember Goose Bigelow.
You're the best he bitch in the
The
man
whole
stable.
goddamn corner of the store was that dude's face. And I was running tapes, a rarity, I know. And I'm like, all right. And someone's like, excuse me. I'm like, yeah. Do you have Goose Bigelow, Male Gigolo? And I'm like,
Oh!
I'm like, it's right behind you. So, I have a thing to do.
Ooh, Navy SEALs. Anyone else have a?
I remember Saving Private Ryan was the hugest thing when I was there. That was that because I think that it was like they didn't know it was going to come out on video or not, and then like they sent us like a bunch of it. And it was like just a huge deal, and then everyone was really upset when it didn't win the Oscar. People were pissed. That I remember.
I remember when Bob took me to see Saving Private Ryan shortly before I worked for Blockbuster.
Chris,
What?
your mother did.
No,
I
Bob took me to see it.
I took the two of you to see it because where I was with a patient, and I'm loud. I was with a patient, an older guy, and you guys called, and I had.
Oh, right, because I couldn't get into it because Bob was only 17 and he
Right.
couldn't get me in.
And I
It's
told
not
the
because
guy
your
I'm
mom's always
taking
right.
the kids to a movie.
That's the answer.
And I took you guys to it, and the next day I saw the guy again, and he said, what did you kids want to see? And he thought it was like some dumb like kids movie thing. And I told him about it, and he had been there like 2 days after the attack in Normandy and remembered it. He told me about the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And he was very impressed that you guys wanted to see that.
Well, what do you know? Jeez.
Can you believe your mother remembered something?
So
Yeah.
it's funny that you remember it better than me because I thought that was the movie that Bob took me to see that the theater, and I guess it wasn't that one. It was The Patriot.
Yeah.
So that was the story I was going to tell was that Bob, we decided to go see a triple feature because we had lives, I swear. And we went to the Showcase Cinemas in Revere, which had different rules in the AMC.
Yeah.
And that if you were 17, you could take anyone in with you at the AMC. But in Revere, you had to be 21 plus and be considered someone's legal guardian to be able to take them in. So Bob, we bought tickets at the same time. I was standing there with him for The Patriot, Rocky and Bullwinkle, and Scary Movie. They didn't give two shits that I went and saw The Patriot with them, but Scary Movie they wouldn't let me go into.
Yeah.
And so Bob came out and just started naming all these people at the MPAA and all this stuff. And they're like, oh shit, this guy's gonna race out. Just take him in, just take him in. He's like, we already went and saw The Patriot, and that shit has violence in it. And we're like, all right, this is awesome. All right, anyone else? What else we got? Come on, you can do it. Come on up to the mic, Molly.
I'm loud.
You have to come to the mic.
Why?
Because I have to be able to hear this on the recording.
You can hear me.
We can.
All right, Molly, go ahead.
No, no.
What's wrong with you? Look what you
We
got.
can hear Molly, it's Paul we can't hear.
Sorry.
I just
I don't
said
know
we
how to
can't
theater. I know how to
hear.
project.
What was that?
My question is, what was your least favorite thing that came out while you were working at Blockbuster, where the fandom ruined it for you, or anything of that respect? What was your least favorite thing that came out while you were working
That's
at
so
Blockbuster?
much more fun.
Oh, wow.
Good job, Molly.
Tim?
Boondock Saints.
Paul?
Jiggly.
The turkey baster scene alone.
Oh, God.
Steve? Geely? With Ben? It has your boyfriend in it.
I know, but I've never seen it. You always accuse me of watching it. I don't actually know. I don't think I had a least favorite movie that anybody ruined for me.
Scott?
I just had nightmares about Titanic. And the amount of copies we got on, and the amount of phone calls you would get looking for it.
Double VHS.
The night-
with elastic holding
Yeah.
it.
One of the times I quit and came back, the first night back was the midnight they were selling that. And I remember the manager at the time rented like a captain's uniform, and all those commercials of the women like pounding on the glass. Not quite true, but it was weird.
Do you guys remember when like we had a thunderstorm and the power went out and no one in Salem or Lynn's actual VCR would work, but these motherfuckers still lined up outside in their SUVs, the lights on, like, why aren't you open? We looked outside.
I'm gonna go out. What am I supposed to do?
Not
So-
watch movies.
You're not gonna watch this movie, right?
So when that would happen in the store, corporate would make us fill out the transactions by hand and then process them the next day. So
Yeah.
you like take down people's credit card information and lock it in the
Yeah.
safe.
How about the fact that we discovered during one of those storms that all of the cash doors spontaneously would just open?
Yeah.
So the power goes
Great
out,
fail-safe.
you're like, oh crap, and then you hear ka-ching, and all the money, all that money that you're supposed to be responsible for is now just like, hey, come on, grab some.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There were so many. Basically anything made by Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Just because we never had them in, and people were just obnoxious about them. I have a feeling that it would have been really awful to work there now and have to deal with Justice League or Batman versus Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Or what do you mean you don't have it? Because it's terrible. Just leave. Who else? Are we gonna take one from the internet, or Kale, or Tyler? Anybody?
Was there any, like, because I know in Blockbusters, and I lived in Swampscott, so we all, like, I had that and photographics.
And Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marblehead, yeah. Because they used to also have, like, episodes of shows. Was there any, like, shows, like, tapes of shows that was popular?
The Sopranos.
Oh yeah.
The Sopranos and Dexter.
Yeah.
Were like the two.
I remember Deadwood being really big for a while there too.
People rented Weeds a lot.
Weeds, and what was the one with the Grim Reaper on the cover?
Oh,
Dead
well,
Light.
Dead Light.
Yep.
Those were huge. Anyone else?
And they're
Do you want me to
now.
do the internet? Well, I have one.
Yeah, Sarah's. You got a
Stories
question?
about the children's toy section.
You gotta go to there. You gotta go to the mic. I'm gonna be a stickler for that. Or else no one on the internet gets to hear it.
Yes.
Stories about the children's toy section. Your store is one of the few that had one.
Wrangle your fucking kids. That's
Everything smelled like maple syrup.
I
It
don't
was
know
sticky.
why. I think that's what they did. Parents
And
would-
it's sun faded.
right? Parents would put their kids in front of the TV with like waffle sticks or something, or maybe just gel them to a surface with old maple syrup in the hopes they wouldn't actually touch anything so they could run off, get high, and fuck. I don't know. And everything would come back sticky, smelling like maple. It smelled like Vermont. And it was gross. The whole, and I'm not sure, like, because urine also smells like maple syrup in a way once it's been around in the sunlight for a while.
Why do you
Like our
do
children's
that?
section, because of our children. That's how I know these things. And then we had Manager X who would let her child loose to free range destroy all of the children's section.
Oh, that kid was a
in which we'd
terror.
have to like put everything back in some semblance of normalcy.
For those that didn't remember it, the children's section was like a toy metal cart in like the upper front section of the
It
store.
was like a corner with some shit.
It was
'Cause I
awful.
cleaned it a lot of times for you.
Yeah, and it was like the thing everybody hated cleaning.
Yeah.
Mostly stuffed
If
animals.
you didn't like someone, it's like go take care of
And
it.
nothing ever sold from it. It all got traipsed around the store.
It's a little tangential, but one thing I remember is that as part of that, we were, for a while as a giveaway, giving like Rugrats stickers.
Oh.
And I remember trying to take care of a customer, and one of my coworkers, Wendy, she was super hilarious, starts taking the stickers off and just quietly sticking them on my face as I'm talking to the customer. Not saying they just stick to, and then finally, once she's gotten all of them on there, and this customer's staring at me and stares at her, she just looks him dead in the eye and goes, "I like stickers," and walks away. I had to wait till the customer left, and I just burst out laughing.
I'm surprised you're able to hold
It was tough.
Okay, so I guess we'll do an internet question.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, this
Who's
is
it from?
from, I'm gonna botch
Answer's
the
42.
name, Arturo Alberto Garza Flores.
Oh yeah, he's been on shooting the shit with Chippa before.
He says, "Hey Chris, it's Arturo. Hope you're well. I have a question for your big show this Saturday. Some of my fondest Blockbuster memories is buying some old/used video games available for sale after I'd saved up allowance for it. Did you ever have a similar experience growing up, or was your experience more about rental?"
Oh no, sale was huge when we were there, especially the previously viewed. I liked that our store kind of had an unwritten rule that if anyone came up to rent specifically video games, but also the DVDs or buy them, that we'd go through all of them to find them a non-scratched one.
Yeah.
Because people treated them like shit.
Yeah. Like
And
posters.
so that was my fondest memory. I bought a lot of my games previously viewed from Blockbuster. Anyone else?
So many times that the actual price of buying the game was cheaper than renting it.
Yeah.
So they'd mark them down because they bought so many copies.
Right.
I remember when, I think I mentioned this on an earlier episode, people used to try and come in and cut into the side of some of the used games where they were locked and steal the game right out of there. And one time we found the night they used to do it and blood all over the kids section where they had hidden it. It was pretty grisly, but I kind of took some satisfaction knowing he didn't get it without a price.
Another gentleman I've never met before.
Hi, how's it going?
This is Nathan, the bartender.
So I have a small story to tell involving Blockbuster and then a question to follow up.
Woohoo!
In 93, 94.
You're not that old.
No, I was in a car seat.
We are that old.
My father in his little red Toyota pulled up to the Salem location to drop some movies off, go in and get some other movies. He luckily took me out of the front seat, and I went inside with him. He left the keys in the ignition though, and then someone immediately jumped in the truck, turned the truck on, and peeled the fuck out.
Oh, is it Jeff Redican?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm sorry.
You can say that. You should be saying last name.
The dude ended up totaling the car in Lynn. But my question for you guys is, what's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you guys while working?
Oh shit.
Jeff Redican?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'll share two. One of them was actually from Woburn, which was later on. But you know what? Since you asked, I'm going to share it. The old chemical fire extinguisher.
Oh, I love this story.
Which was in the Dropbox because remember, The company thought what would happen if someone dropped like an M80 into the Dropbox because it's open all night. I don't know what they do at banks, but at Blockbuster they had an old crappy chemical fire extinguisher, and someone tossed a tape in,
burns money,
and it knocked the thing.
That someone would not have been me.
Yeah.
No, this was in Woburn, and
Yes.
it was me and Scott were working, and there was another assistant store manager named Paul, but at a different time. I think it was Paul Ricardo, and he was on his way down, but he was really sick, and he walked into the store and we kind of told him just turn around and leave. And Scott and I locked all the doors, but the chemical extinguisher went off and doused the entire store. And the store was kind of shaped like this room. So we're up the front here. It doused everything. We were cleaning that shit out of DVDs. And the freaking company, we called them and told them what happened. They said, that's fine, stay open, just rent the tapes and aren't damaged. We're like, isn't this gonna like hurt people's lungs? Like, what's wrong with you guys? They didn't care. That was really weird.
Yeah.
There was also the time in Salem that someone lit, either with a cigarette or for more nefarious means, the trash outside. So our trash was melted and then also got taken out by a plow at one point. And then there was the Jeff story where in a Blockbuster uniform, this kid Jeff got out in his Bronco after a store meeting and peeled out, but lost control of his car, ended up driving over the island in the middle and hitting a shopping cart and sending it flying into a car, and then comes
Mercedes.
up in his Blockbuster uniform and goes, should I go like find that person or something? And we're like, and Scott goes, yeah, you should find him, and two, you should take your fucking Blockbuster shirt off.
So his Bronco, apparently the steering was weird because he got a giant ass lift kit from grandma. And so he went over the median, hit the little, like, I don't even know why there was a cart there because we didn't have any places to even use a cart at in our area. But it went careening into this white Mercedes, which had really nice chrome accents on the lifter for the door, which then flew right off of the door onto the ground when the cart hit it. And then we were all outside. I looked at Scott. I'm like, I'm going in. And I'm just like, I have to open the store. Just like,
There was a kid very similar to this kid Jeff that worked with Scott and I in Woburn, who wasn't there for long. But one day he goes on his lunch break, and he comes back, and his face is just white as a ghost. And I go, dude, it wasn't like he was gone for long. He was gone for like a normal half-hour lunch. And I go, dude, what's wrong? And he goes, all right, I don't think I'm going to be working here anymore. And I go, what happened? And he goes, I'm really sorry. He says, but I got to leave, and the cops are going to be here soon. And I go, what happened? He goes, all right, so I was driving down the road. And I go, yeah. He goes, you know I got a hitch on the back of my car, right? Yeah. He goes, I saw two jet skis parked in some driveway, and I decided I should take them. And I go, okay, yeah. He goes, so I hooked them up to my hitch, and I drove down the road, and then they fell off the hitch. And I go, so what did you do? Well, I left them there and bolted and came back here. Yeah, I didn't see him again after that day. I don't. What's up? Okay.
I've got two weird ones, both vaguely threatening. One was not long after I started at the store. I was going in for an evening shift in an hour, and I got a call from the manager. I'm going to be like, yeah, we just got a phone call. It went like this. Somebody asked, hey, is Tim going to be there tonight? And she was like, yeah, sure. Like, good. When I come in, I'm going to beat him to death with a baseball bat. Click! And I'm like, okay. So I'm in there all night. Every time the door opens, I hear the chime. I'm like, hi, can I help you? Is everything okay? All right, okay. Never heard anything else about it. The other one was one time I was putting movies back in the kids section, and I find right in front of this Mickey Mouse videotape a single .38 caliber bullet just placed there perfectly. I'm like, wow, somebody really doesn't like that mouse. I still have it. I never found out what happened with it, but just a bullet just sitting there.
I have two. They're kind of short. One was while I was working at the Swampscott store. One morning I went in and I was opening and I was emptying the drop box, and there was a whole fish in the drop box.
That's amazing!
No, it wasn't.
I think it's still amazing. You've never mentioned.
Was it Company for the Lobsters? Is that?
I have no idea.
Like,
and then
how
this-
big was this fish?
Oh, about this big. It was a good size. The second one was while I was working at the store in Florida. It was a Saturday night, and someone had come up and asked to use the bathroom, so I handed them the key. We had a line of people, and so they go out back, and he comes up, and it was like minutes later. He's like, "You might want to have someone clean that bathroom." And I'm like, Okay, thanks.
Never a good sign.
And so we clear out the line. I decide, I'm like, well, let me go back there and check. I'll give it a quick clean or whatever. I go back there, and the walls, the floor, the toilet, the sink, everything was just painted with shit. Still don't know who did it, why they did it, how they did it, and how they got out of the store without anyone noticing that someone was covered in the. But we had to have someone come in and like they came in hazmat suits because I was like, I'm not cleaning that. I'm not having any of the staff clean this. So I had called corporate and they're like, we'll send someone out, and they an hour later or whatever they show up. They douse the thing in bleach the whole night. You could just smell bleach the whole time. It was gross.
Just to see that in the kids section, it'd look like a kid had taken a horizontal shit because it would be like right in the middle of the shelf.
Yes.
I'm like, how did you do that?
When you sit there and you're actually, let me map out the trajectory.
You're like a blood spatter.
It's like Jim Garrison back and to the left.
Yeah, exactly. I would say my two weirdest things have to link together, actually, because we have not spoken about this person before, but many moons ago, we got robbed.
Oh, yeah.
Common closing procedure is you take the money out of the fucking cash drawer and you lock it in the safe. Done. This person would count it and then put it back up front because they were fucking lazy. So they would be able to open the place without any kind of issues so that Tim could come in and bring things out. So someone had actually noticed this, unfortunately. We're not sure whom, but they knew that that drawer had cash in it. So they proceeded to come up to our vestibule door and smash it with a goddamn sledgehammer. Not realizing the second door isn't alarmed or locked or anything, so they just push it open, but they smashed that fucking thing too. And then we had these lovely sensors that would go off and say, you get a call from corporate when you're doing a final for lit class in college to get your degree. And they would call you and be like, hey, the front right sensor is out. And you're like, well, then call someone else. Like, it is fucking 3 a.m. The front right sensor is out. You're like, listen, okay, well, who have you called? Have you called the branch? Have you called the manager? Yeah, he's not responding. Well, thanks, okay. Have you called the assistant manager, Steve? No, he hasn't picked up. I'm like, fucking smart assholes, I know this. I'm like, well, fine, I'm awake, I'll be up there. What kind of car are you driving? I'm like, that's not something that anyone ever asks me. Like, what is happening? Well, we have to tell the cops. I'm like, why do you have to tell the cops? Like, well, not only is your front right sensor out, the back sensor is out, the door sensor is out, the manager's room is out, the exit door is out. I'm like, what happened? They're like, you'll have to go, the cops need to know what color your car is. I'm like, I have to be at school at 6. So I took off, drove at like 100 miles an hour.
Maroon two-door Buick?
Red. I told them red. So I pull up like a fucking bat out of hell, and I'm like, there are 3 cops going like, hey. I'm like, hi, what happened? Because our exit door is smashed, the entry door is smashed, the entire vestibule is covered in glass. The office door has a hole in it, where there used to be a doorknob. And the exit door going out of the building, which no one has ever used, has been smashed and is going off at a very high pitch fire alarm. I'm like, what happened? The cops are like, can you get us the tapes? I'm like, I don't know. Here's the thing. And they go to hit the button, nothing happens because there's a security feature where you have to hit a button hidden to actually get the tapes out of the machine for us to be able to review it before the cops take it. No one tells me about this. They're like, oh, okay, well, the guy knocked over a couple gas stations. We're gonna leave. I'm like, I have no doors. I have no doors. Killers return to the scene of the crime. I watched these things. I'm like, I have no way of, how am I going to survive? And then they leave. So then Jeremy, who's been unemployed because it was in between his jobs, shows up at like 3 in the goddamn morning. I'm calling Scott every 5 seconds. Jeremy shows up, he looks at the door, looks at me, and I'm in like the manager's vestibule like, no. And he just puts his tapes in the Dropbox and leaves. And like, so 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, I finally get a reply. Scott's finally woken up, he comes by, the new district manager, this is how I met my new district manager, was, hey, there's a hole in the fucking wall. So she comes in, takes care of everything. I finally go off to school, the T is late, the blue line is shut down. I had to text people. So then like later on that week, I'm closing on a Sunday, they'd fixed the front doors, because I called for all that, but whoever the hell was in charge of taking care of the wooden doors, who cares about wooden doors, right? You know, the one that goes to the room with the safe in it. So I'm standing there, I go to count down the cash, and I hear a knock. on the what's left of the wooden door. Because our solution was, let's just pile boxes in front of the hole. Right? On the site, the manager goes in, doesn't have to unlock the door, just pushes it open. You go in, then you reach through the hole and you put the boxes back where they were so that no one will notice that you're counting copious amounts of cash in front of an open safe. And hopefully they won't bother you. So there's this knock at the door, and I was like, oh, well, because we used to do shave and haircut. That's how we knew it was a normal person. Was I'm like, all right, cool, fine. That's probably Jeremy. It's Steve, So I open the box block of this door with the safe wide open, and it's the mayor of fucking China.
The mayor of China.
No one has brought up this guy. So there was a guy
I think I did on my episode.
Was in his mid to late 50s, covered in tan lotion, right? Because his hands were orange just where the calluses were.
Everything he touched, he'd leave an orange stain.
He trained with Bruce Lee, and they were so impressed over in China that the mayor of China, they made him the mayor. When he told me this the first time, I was like, and I'm the fucking queen of France. What? Just get $12. Give me the money.
He had a business card.
And he was a personal bodyguard and a nude model. Right? And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I open the door thinking it's staff, I'm safe, to the mayor of fucking China. In his goddamn, trucker hat and all, in his fake and baked tan glory. And I'm like, oh, God. So
Mayor of China.
Right, I'm like, all right. He's like, do you have any of them, those stands with the the cardboard cutouts? You always wanted those. So I'm reaching with my foot while I'm talking to close the fucking safe door. I'm like, no, we don't have any of those. I'm like, close the door and then put the boxes back. And I'm like, we need to fix this door. But yeah, that was a fun time. That was the scariest moment I think I've had.
Yeah. Remember when we were that was when we were robbed at gunpoint?
I was not there for that. That was a Thursday thing.
Scott was on vacation, and he leaves me in charge of the store. I had opened, I think, that day, and Manager X was closing. I get woken up in the middle of the night. I still lived at home, so my mom wakes me up. She's like, "It's Blockbuster on the phone." I'm like, "Those motherfuckers!" I'm like, "They better have been fucking robbed at gunpoint." I swear to God, because I had to be up the next morning. It's it's 12 midnight, whatever. I get on the phone. I'm like, "Hello," and it's Manager X, and she's like, "Hi, Steve." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "You need to come to the store." And I'm like,
"Why?"
"Why?" And she goes, "We were robbed at gunpoint." I'm like, "What?" So I flew down to the store, and I don't know, that's kind of the end of the story, but I just thought it was funny because I'm like, they better have been robbed by fucking gunpoint.
And they were.
And they were.
Yeah.
Whoops.
And then I find that happened on a Thursday, you find out, then they're just like, hey, so half of them called out because they got robbed by gunpoint. Have a good Friday night. Have a good Friday night.
Yeah.
That's cool, see ya. I'm like, what the fuck? All right, I'm all alone. I think I had Alvin and maybe church that day.
Maybe. Churchill.
The day after, we got robbed, I'm like, well, I'm screwed because they won't even notice if I get shot.
Right.
Alvin will be like, hey, there are boobs over there. And Churchill like, hey, there's basketball on DirecTV. I'm like, I am fine. I am dead.
Yeah, Alvin would just lean on his broom in the corner of the store because he came in at 9 p.m. to close, and he would just sit there, and we had these angled glass on
to
the
see
top
if you're
of the
stuffing
store
things
to
into
see
your
if people are
jacket.
stealing stuff, and
He
he'd stand
found
next to me
another
and he'd go, hey, I'm trying to bring people up, hey, because he'd get the angle down the shirts. Anyway, does anyone else have a question? Because we're getting near the end here. Anyone else? Oh, I see one coming. Who are you, sir?
Charles.
Oh, you're one of the winners.
Yeah. So I rented a lot of I had my mom rent a lot of video games from the Blockbuster in North Reading.
Uh-oh. That was Scott's stomping grounds.
That was
that store.
Oh, really? Damn.
That used to be our corporate training store.
Really?
Yeah.
It had a labyrinth underneath where they would keep us.
That was Wolverine.
I kind of believe that it's a liquor store now.
That makes
It's actually
sense.
a very good liquor store.
We need to find out who can get in the back door.
But so I remember Paper Mario was a game that we rented, my brother and I rented 3 times, and then eventually broke down and bought it. What did any of you have any video games that you just rented to death, and then that's how you were introduced to it?
Yes. It wasn't from Blockbuster, but I rented Metal Gear Solid, the original on PlayStation, from Video Craze and Lynn I would rent it and return it and rent it again until I beat it.
Mhm.
And then I ended up buying the game. I liked it so much and beat it again.
Mine was from a local place up in my grandparents' summer home outside of Winnipesaukee. It was Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I rented that for like 3 months.
Mine was from my old video store, the Genesis game of Jurassic Park. I used to love that because you could play as Grant or the Raptor.
Yeah.
And Splatterhouse, which I never got very far in, but I love that game.
It was the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I rented that over and over again. Same kind of thing. I broke down and bought it.
I think, Chris, didn't we used to rent Street Fighter all the time?
All the
Because,
time.
like,
Street Fighter 2 Turbo on Super Nintendo.
You didn't want to buy it, but you like wanted to rent it because like you could just play it like.
Well, we were gonna have like a bunch of people. It was only fun when you had a bunch of people over. I know my friend did that with Mario Kart and N64.
Yeah.
He never bought it, but anytime he had friends coming over, he would just rent it.
Yeah.
What was another big one? I remember renting. God, this must have been back. This was still in the Super Nintendo days. Before you bought Super Mario RPG, you and I rented that a bunch.
Oh yeah,
too.
Definitely.
Anybody else?
I'd have to say Ghostbusters on Nintendo.
Yeah.
As awful as that game was.
Thanks. So thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Anybody else?
I go.
Yeah. Danielle, come on down.
GoldenEye.
Oh, GoldenEye. Perfect Dark.
Alright. This will be a quick one, but Steve's story inspired me. So, aside from the fish, what is the weirdest thing ever put in the Dropbox?
Oh, I've got two. One was, there was a movie in the late 90s called Set It Off, this bank robbery movie with a bunch of female bank robbers that had like Queen Latifah in it. Pretty good little movie. Anyway, somebody returns it with a tampon in there. Thankfully, not used. And I kept trying to figure out, is this some kind of metaphor for it? Are they making some kind of statement here? I don't know. The other one was a guy, I can't remember what movie it was, but he dropped off a movie with his joint in it. And he called the store later and he's like, trying to figure out how to ask if he can get his joint back without trying to be discreet. Like, I returned the movie, was the tank in there? Was everything okay? It was fine, sir. Yeah, no problems. No problems at all, sir. Okay.
Bye.
Remember when the dude dropped a vial of Coke on the on the counter right in front?
I don't remember that one.
I remember that.
Was anyone there for that?
I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, Steve, were you there?
I don't think so.
Were you there for this?
I might have been there for this. Yeah.
This guy, this was very late at night, and the guy, was just taking out the money for his thing. And he was taking, and he does it out, and right out the sleeve comes like a good-sized bottle, and he's like, bing, 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 right on the thing, just right down there, and I'm looking at it, I'm just like, do you want to get that, dude? Get what? And he looks at me, he's like, get what? And then he's like, oh shit! and he looks at me and he's like, get what? And he's like, that's. I'm like, dude, just put it away.
Get up, man.
Yes, get it out of here. Because we would have cops in there all the time.
Yep.
Yes.
We had so many. I don't know why, because that's a fairly safe area of Salem.
It's more, I think it was just because it was a big parking lot and we were open and everyone else wasn't.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like they were out there looking around anyway.
There was a lot of drug deals in that Shaw's parking lot late
Yeah.
at night. You just see the two cars kind of approach each other, stop, and zip off while we were doing inventories. It would happen all night long.
Oh yeah, that's a huge problem.
I'd say I actually dropped something weird in the Dropbox one.
What did you drop in the Dropbox, Steve?
So I had a real bad habit of taking what was called cash drops home.
Oh.
So what happened is, like, your register would ding, I think, once it got over $200
Over
or something
$200.
like that. And the manager would come over and they'd take the money out and they were supposed to bring it right back to the safe. Well, on busy weekend nights, you can't always make it to the safe, and so I had a habit of sticking them in my back pocket, forgetting that they were there, and leaving and going home with it. Well, this one time, me and this other guy that worked with us, Casey, we were heading to Chicago for Comic-Con, and I wasn't working the next day, and I'm like, shit, I gotta get this money back. Scott, I think you were opening. So I ran back, and I think I put it in a tape box or something. I don't know even where I got the tape box from, and I drop it into the Dropbox. And so we're at the airport, it's like, 7 in the morning or something, I call the store and I'm like, Scott, I'm like, did you find the money in the Dropbox? And he's like, no, man, he's like, I don't know where the money is. He's like, we're short like $400. I forget what it was at the time. And I'm like, no, Scott, check the Dropbox. I put the money in the Dropbox. He's like, what? Tim, I think because you were there with him. He's like, Tim, check the Dropbox. And you're like, yep, there it is. I don't know how I didn't get fired for taking that much money home,
Yeah,
like every day.
Quite a thing.
Just forgot it was in there.
Yeah.
Nice, and I'm going to do one other, and then we'll close this thing out. This is one from the folks from the Geeks with Shields podcast, my friend Ulrich and Axel.
All right.
They were asking, and this is something I think we can answer quickly. Do we think Blockbuster could have survived?
No.
Yeah,
No.
Unanimous no, right?
It was a matter of time.
No,
Yeah.
this is a model that's not like
Right.
a thing. This is-
If they had grabbed on to Netflix, maybe.
Yeah,
but
Maybe around in a different entity. Yeah.
Like they'd be the ones like furiously refreshing the Disney 23 hashtag on their phones right now.
Right.
Like going through, it's like, oh God, what are we gonna do?
And
What are we gonna do?
that's the thing, is it's like they were owned by Viacom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Blockbuster wasn't going to go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would have been rebranded as something else. But the 3 or 4 years before they eventually died and Viacom dropped them and then Dish Network bought them and Dish Network, I guess, still owns the name.
Yeah.
That was kind of the end of it. You know what I mean? So I don't think it would be great if they were still around. And there's that one left out there in Bend, Oregon that are doing well just because it's a ski town and that area didn't have very good internet for a while. That's why Australia had it and that's why Alaska still had it. Was basically no one had good internet, so no one could stream like that. That's why they stuck around. An interesting thing, if you guys have ever heard of Scarecrow Video, anyone listening to that, they've also been on the show.
Yeah.
They're the international database now for old movies. They actually have more than the National Archive has on file. They have 140,000 videos, DVDs, laser discs.
Yeah.
The guy from there was one of the founding members of it I had on the show, and he said, do I think streaming's a bad thing? No, and that's weird coming from a guy who does the physical media. He's just because as someone who loves the media and loves people to see it, I want whatever is available out there for someone to see this stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of like the opposite, which is kind of we're holding on to the physical copy, physical copy is still better than any other way you can get it, in my opinion. But if you live in the middle of nowhere and have never seen Casablanca before, and the only way you can see the streaming, or have never seen The Wicker Man, or have never seen these things, you just can't walk into one of these places anymore.
No, you can't.
And can't get it. So, kind of hate to end it on a downer, but that's kind of the world. It had to change. It had to adapt. It had to evolve. And thank you guys so much for coming and listening to us talk about it.
Yeah.
And until next time, thank you for asking these questions. And also thank you for making it a Talkbuster afternoon.
Oh, thank you so much.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Chris. Well done. Well done. Well put together. Thank you so much, sir. Good job.
And now we clean up.
Yes. Yes.
Tip your bartenders, eat some food, drink some things, because they have to turn this around for something shortly. Thank you guys so much.
Fun. I think that we should have slept in between yesterday and this.
Yeah.
Slept
Thank you very much.
Slept, period.